morning, Redeemers. We are so grateful that you are all joining us today for service. If this is your first time here, a special welcome to you. I'd like to invite you to fill out what we call our communication card, and you can find this under the seat in front of you. Fill it out, turn it in at the offering receptacle on your way out after service, and this is just a great way for us to get to know you and for you to get to know us as we will be sending updates throughout the week. You can also fill out this form at redeemerschurch.com/new, and also on that page you can learn various things about Redeemers Church as well. If this is your first time here and you fill out the communication card, you will receive a free drink from Missio Dei Cafe. You could either turn in the card at Missio Dei, or you could take a screenshot if you fill out the card online and turn that in there. We also have a Redeemers Church app, so if you have not downloaded that yet, I invite you to pull out your phones right now, go to redeemerschurch.com, and on the homepage you can scroll down and there is a link for you to access our app there. You can access today's notes on the app, keep up with events and things happening throughout the week, and you can also give online through the app. Some other ways that you can give at your convenience is through our offering receptacle that you can find after service, as well as our text to give feature. Again, we are so grateful that you are all here today.
Hey everyone, my name is Matt Harder, Director of Operations and Congregational Care here at Redeemers Church, and I also lead Celebrate Recovery every Monday night at 6:30. I just wanted to let you know that we are still having Celebrate Recovery through the summer. Recovery takes no vacations. So if you or a loved one struggle with anything really, food issues, drugs and alcohol, depression, anxiety, we are here to support each other every Monday, 6:30. We also have a men's step study that is starting soon. If you would like more information, you can contact me at the church anytime during the week, or just show up on a Monday night. I'd love to talk to you. See you then.
That's not how you do it. You need to move your arms a little bit more. But you're doing it wrong. Hey everyone, as you can see, we are getting ready for Sunday Fun Day, Aloha style. Matt's trying to get his dance moves down, and we want to make sure that you know about this. Put it on your calendar. Sunday Fun Day is a time for us to not only gather and hang out after church, but it's also a time for you to find connection and ways that you can serve here at Redeemers Church and in the community. You can sign up for things that are going on this fall, which will be microgroups is back. We'll have community groups available, as well as Wellness Mondays, or you can figure out ways that you can serve here and in the community. So again, August 15th, there'll be a ton of games, water games for kids, so they can hang out while parents go to each ministry booth. But come out, it'll be a fun time. We'll say aloha to summer and be ready to jump into fall. So we hope that you join us.
Good morning, Redeemers. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this gathering. Welcome to our summer series, Dude Perfect. So now for this is a special announcement. I'm going to connect to Matt Harder just in a moment. He's the multi-talented, everything what he does in the church. If you ask him, he's always going to do something that you don't want to do it. So we're going to go back to our site on the West Reedley. Matt, here we go.
Hey, that's right, Riddis. Good morning, everyone. We are reporting live from the West Lawn at Redeemers Church, where we have an exciting competition set up this morning, the obstacle course. We have Ray and Atticus, who have been training for this for like a day or so, and they are ready to run this race. For some reason, they have some kind of an apparatus on them. I don't know if it's going to do them any good. That remains to be seen, but we are ready to get this underway. Are you guys ready? On your marks, get set, go. And they're coming around the bend. They have to go to the big red ball to get started here. The slalom course is first. Oh, and they are bouncing off of each other. This is exciting, folks. They're going for the, kicking the balls around this slalom course. Oh, and it looks like Atticus is upside down. He's back on course. They're going for the final jump over the wall, and he's tripped up. It looks like the wall is down, folks. They're coming up, and it looks like they're both winners, everyone. That's it from the West Lawn at Redeemers. Back to you, Riddis.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you from the reporting side. So, Dude Perfect. Dude Perfect. So we have some activities set up. I will refer this in a moment, but how many of you do not know the show that is called Dude Perfect? Okay, so now, it's okay, it's okay. So this afternoon when you go type in YouTube, Dude Perfect. So you will watch some entertaining videos. So Dude Perfect. Just a couple of things that I dug up out of the Dude Perfect. They started in 2009. So it's a little bit over a decade. So with the simple tricks. And the way it went down, it was they were in the backyard. They were betting each other for the sandwich. He says, hey, I bet I'm going to make this shot right there. So if I make it, I'm going to have a sandwich, right? So then they started recording. And then soon after, if you're interested, watch the first video. So anybody can do this because it was done in the backyard with the trick shots to the basketball. And then the name Dude Perfect, it came out of basically when they made it, the shot, they would go like, dude, perfect. Truly, that's how it went down. But they have 56.5 million subscribers on YouTube. So they have more subscribers than NBA, NFL, MLB, which is baseball, and NFL combined together, right? So they are the second highest paid group by YouTube. Now, debate has been going on, raging over authenticity of their videos. But Dude Perfect's philosophy has been this: just because it's hard, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's impossible. Just because it's hard, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. So doing life, running the race of life with these balls outside, inside the ball, it's not easy. That's not an easy task. So as you observed in the competition, it's not, and when you get knocked over, you have to have assistance from somebody else to put you up on your feet. And so every human, I don't know about you, but I have experienced that too in life, that you get knocked down. You run with the load. You run with something attached to you on a daily basis. So we are experiencing those kind of issues and the problems on a daily basis. Now, if you don't, I would classify you as a liar. So, you know, on a daily basis, it just happens out of nowhere. A couple of months ago, I went to the dentist, and I take care of my teeth, okay? So I had a really bad dental care in my previous country that I lived. So, and I would always refer to this, if I could, I would spit all my teeth out, but I can't. So I have to maintain it. So I go to the dentist, and the dentist inspects my teeth, and he says, how are your teeth are feeling? I don't know. I didn't ask them, but I think they're doing good because I look at them in the morning, and they're looking really good. So, and then a couple of weeks later, I'm driving from Danuba. I remember distinctly. You know those moments. So I'm driving in Danuba, and I'm like, just feeling that it's crown, on one of my teeth, and it's moving. And I said, oh, shoot. And it's one of my main teeth, that does the work. So I'm like, oh. So I call the dentist office, go to the dentist office, and dentist goes like, moves around. It's like, oh, yeah, just crown came off. You know, I'm like, yeah, there's hope for my tooth. So, but then says, hey, we have to do the x-ray. So they do the x-ray. He comes back and says, I have a bad news. I said, what's the bad news? And he says, the root, like it's looking like this, and it's just cracked right here. And he says, and I believe that there's infection underneath. And I said, we have to extract it. Now, for those who don't know the word extraction, basically it's like getting the pliers and pulling it out. So a couple of weeks later, I go to the different specialist. He's like, okay, we're going to yank this thing out. So he stabs me with some numbing thing, you know, in my gums and my nerves. So I'm chilling in my chair. And he grabs this instrument. I close my eyes, you know, because I did not want to pass out. I said, please don't pass out. Don't pass out. So anyway, so he starts working on it. He pulls out. And then he looks at me. I'm like, he's worried. So he pulls out. He's like, oh, shoot. I said, what? I'm like, what? And he goes, oh, you have an infection. I said, and I'm like, So he grabs the stool and he starts scraping the bone. He's like, and you know, like when you scrape it, you don't hear it. But when it scrapes in your head, you can hear it. So he scrapes it and he says, wow, we have to put some bone graft because we're going to drill the hole later on and we're going to put some, the titanium rod so that we can attach another crown so that you can have a tooth back. I said, let's do this, right? So he does this thing, and then he stitches, you know, and I walk away, and it's all good, right? You take a couple of ibuprofen, it's good. So now, but the reason why I'm telling you the story, that most of the time in our lives, we appear to be fine. Everything is looking brilliant. You know, you get up in the morning, I got up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I'm like, this is looking good, man. My smile is beautiful. My teeth are white. The teeth are looking good. But is it? Or it's underneath, there's already decay. Underneath, there's already something brewing that you are not even aware of it. Our spiritual lives, they are exactly the same thing. We run and we appear on the outside that we're good. There's nothing, you know, we smile, we say right things to each other, and probably for time being, you are good and I am good. But deep underneath, sometimes when we don't take care of it, it starts brewing. There's already decay starts to happen that we have not addressed yet. And it can be on the different angles. Even in the physical life, we struggle with certain things. We don't address it. We don't look at it. We look at the physical appearance, and the body is telling us, hey, there's something going on you have to address, and we don't address it. So we are going to look at Hebrews. And before I go to Hebrews now, there's one more thing that we also getting pressured from somebody else around in our workplace, in the classrooms, or anywhere that you are to behave certain way, to act certain way. So we start behaving certain way, abandoning our belief system. We abandon what we go for, what we strive for, and we run, like in that race, we run that race and we get knocked down and we're like, oh, we cannot get up. So today, we're going to look at the Hebrews. There's a book in the Bible. There's the author that we don't know who wrote it, but we know that he was a very smart person, and he loved coffee. Hebrews. But somebody says, oh, wow. So anyway, so he writes a letter to encourage the followers of the way, followers of Jesus, because these Hebrews, the Jews, they were pressured. They experienced life's issues and problems. And one of the things that was happening to them, they experienced pressures by non-believing Jews or like traditional Jews to abandon their way of following Jesus. So, and one of them, remember Apostle Paul, he was earlier called Saul. He was persecuting the people of the way. So they were being attacked by traditional Jews. So now these people, what they reserved to themselves, some of them, they started going back to the traditional ways of doing Judaism. They were going back to their traditions, to everything that they've known for, they grew up with, and they started adopting back again those practices. Now, and the other people, they're like, oh, you know what? We believe in Jesus, but we're going to add something to that. We're going to add certain aspects of belief so that we would appear to be, Judeo, God-fearing people, but we follow Jesus, so they were kept out. So, but the author of Hebrews, he literally addresses that issue, and he says, listen, tune up. I want to say something very important. So would you please stand with me as I read from Hebrews chapter 12, from Hebrews chapter 12. Verses 1 to 3. So you can grab a phone or the Bible and let's read. So chapter 12, verse 1. A huge cloud of witness is all around us. So let us throw off everything that stands in our way. Let us throw off any sin that holds us so tightly, and let us keep on running the race marked for us. Let us keep looking to Jesus. He is the one who started this faith journey, and he is the one who completes the journey of faith. He paid no attention to the shame of the cross. He suffered there because of the joy he was looking forward to. Then he sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. He made it through these attacks of sinners, so think about him. Then you won't get tired. You won't lose hope. So to address these issues, you may please sit down. To address this issue that people were facing, the writer of Hebrews tells us that we are not alone in this journey. So he says in the first verse, a huge cloud of witness is all around us. And the first thing that comes to our minds is a huge cloud of witnesses. Now, who are these guys? Now, those are the guys that in the chapter 11, there's a huge list of the guys that were there written in the Bible. Moses, Abraham, Jacob, Joseph, Rahab, Samson, David. They just the author just lists all of them. And when we read this particular verse, we think it's oh, they're witnesses. They're witnessing to my life. They're looking at me and they're cheering on to me. And they're like, yeah, you go, man. But actually, when I began to looking at this, and I said, you know what? I think there's more to it. Yes, they are cheering. They are encouraging you. But we are called to do something different in this regard. So the word witness, it's to witness. So when they call the witness, it says to witness is to observe or experience something firsthand. So those people that were gone before us, they have experienced. They already faced what we are facing. They already did what we are doing right now. They already looked. They already struggled with. He says, look at them because they already completed their race. He says, pay attention to what they have done before us. All the struggles they experienced. Now, not many of you know, but I love basketball. I really do love basketball game. So Kobe Bryant, not everybody liked Kobe Bryant. However, he is one of the greatest player in the basketball history. So is Michael Jordan. So if you don't know who they are, please Google it. But Kobe Bryant was asked, he says, what do you do to accomplish what you have accomplished? He says, what do you do on a daily basis? And Kobe Bryant says, I do study and learn and apply skills that Michael Jordan has. See, Michael Jordan was already on the verge of retiring when Kobe Bryant was just coming in on the scene. So he said, I got all the VHS tapes. So for those who don't know what VHS tape is, it's like information is in this black box. And right now, it's like YouTube, but VHS, like you have to have a device to watch it. So he watched numerous times of Jordan playing the game, watched his footwork, watched his shot, and he just perfected it. So he was focusing on somebody that was gone before him. He learned from somebody that has already experienced. So he started working on his game. Now, and they asked Michael Jordan, he says, Michael, he says, okay, if you were playing one-on-one, who would beat you? Michael Jordan, without skipping a beat, he says, Kobe Bryant. And he says, why? He says, because Kobe Bryant knows every of my moves. So back to our text. The author suggests that studying their lives and learning what they did in order to maintain their faith in God is absolutely essential. So, I know that there's a lot of self-help books, a lot of motivational speakers, but we have to go back and look at the originals, at the ones that were before us. So the author continues. The next verse, he says, so let us throw off everything that stands in our way. Let us throw off everything. Let us throw off any sin that holds us on so tightly, and let us keep running the race marked out for us. So I will start a little bit backward. I'm going to start with the race. So the author says you have to run the race. You have to run the race. Now, the original hearers, they were thinking about the competition because they were living in the Greek culture. They were surrounded by Greeks. So the author says, run. So what it was going now, by the way, the Greeks, they started this thing called races and the throwing of a javelin and the discus about 750 years before Christ. So when the author is talking about that, he is referring to running. And in the Greek world, when runners were running, they would strip everything in order to run. Now, don't get any pictures there, but they left BVDs on, okay? And they would run the race. And as far as training goes, they would train. But the trainer was the one that won the race before them. So they were drawing all the experiences, all the lessons from the ones that have gone before them. And the Greeks, they regarded, they said that athletics is everything for us. And that's what separated them. And it says only Greeks can compete in those the competitions. And there was no team sport either. Right now we have a team sport, but in the Greek world, it was you would run by yourself. You would compete by yourself against somebody else. So that was the competition. So the author of Hebrews suggests that we should throw off everything that stands in our way. Everything that means all things. Now, you might ask, the good things? Yes, the good things as well. Everything that entangles us. Now, I remember, it seems like it's not a long time ago, but I came to the United States and to study. So I had no idea what I'm doing. So the people, they were around me and says, well, you should take so many units. They started mapping out the path for me. He says, we're going to do it in 3 years. This is what you need to do. He says, okay, so now you're going to take 15 units. I said, what is the unit? It's like an hour. It's like, you're going to be okay. I did it, you're going to be okay. I'm like, okay, let's sign up, 15. It says, and then there's the break. There's some kind of week And it says, you're going to take 2 more units. There's a class. I'm like, 2 more units. I'm just writing. Okay, 2 more units. Okay, it's all good, right? So then the school year starts. And I'm going to classes, listening. Everything is going well. So, and they asked me to read a book and write a 2-page book report. So I read the book, and I started writing. It took me a whole day to write a 2-page book report, okay? So I wrote it, and I was like, it's looking like a page and a half. So I go into settings. I'm like, gee, let's do 2 instead of double space. I'm like 2.2, so that it would fill the space. So my Canadian friend did in about an hour. So it took me all day. So halfway through that journey, like I feel the weight of classes, the weight of work, and plus the internship hours at the church, the weight of classes started just coming on to me. So it's just going like suffocating me. They were good things. They were good classes, good information, good insight, good homework, tons of learning experience. But over a period of time, I started crumbling. I couldn't even sleep. I would sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours, and I would wake up stressed up. It was like, I need to do those units. Everybody's telling me, it's like the units. So, and all of a sudden, just like the pressure of that just started, collapsing me. So I literally wanted just to throw everything and says, forget about it. I'm going home, Just throw in the towel, and I said, I'm done. But then I was like, oh, shoot, I bought one-way ticket, The next stop is like 3 years from now. It's like, I couldn't do it, man. I'm broke. But what I did over a period of time, and, you've noticed me, I'm all about reading the Bible, but it's not just reading for the knowledge. It's not about memorizing stuff in the Bible. It's how do you practically apply Bible to your personal life. If you don't apply it, it's like, you listened, and just walked away. It's like, oh, yeah, that was good. All right, let's go have some coffee. No, it doesn't work unless you apply it. Sometimes, even in my classroom, I say, you have to apply it. And I have a bucket of paint, I pushed to the wall, and I said, everything that we're learning, we have to apply. What does the apply means? You dip in the roll and starting applying the paint to the wall. And otherwise, we're just going to be talking about the paint. We're going to experience that this is rolled, this is what it's made of, what is all the contents is like, okay, everybody's good, everybody knows it, okay, let's go. No, you got to apply it. So when I tell you something, and I read it in the Bible, I always have points of applications. So now you're going to ask me, so what did you do? Okay, thank you. I'm glad you asked. So what did I do? So I listened to some people. I said, I'm dying. He says, no, you're not. You're good. You're in your 20s. Nobody dies now. So I said, what do I do? And then he says, well, why don't you reduce the load? So I reduced the load to about 12 units. Okay? And then I looked at it and said, and then you feel pressure. Remember, there's a social pressure. You work at work, there's a social pressure. It's like everybody's like, oh, you're not going to finish in 3 years. And you're like, okay, you're going to finish in 3 years and you're going to be dead. Or if you finish in 4 years, it would be a life. I don't know which one we're going to go with. So you experience the social pressure too. So it went to 12 units. And then looked at it and it's like, man, this is a little bit still too much. So then I dropped to 9 units. So it took me an extra year to complete my degree, but I still completed. And the one more thing, when you get into those situations, you don't want to just find yourself just checking off the boxes. Oh, it's like, I completed this. I did this. What does that mean? It doesn't matter, man. Like, I just completed. It's like, I got my BA. It's all good, man. I finished high school. What did you learn? It doesn't matter, man. I'm moving on. No, it's not about that, too. Because when we look in the Bible, it's like people say, have you read the Bible? It's like, no. So you go and you read the Bible. It's like, okay, I read the Bible. It's like, what did it mean? I don't know, but I read the Bible. It's not about that. It's not about checking out the box. It's about slowing down. And you internalize it. And you're listening to the lessons. And you listen to the people that are around you. So that you will apply this to your life. That you will be a better follower of Christ. You'll be more focused on Christ. So, So be aware if you don't run into the direction of Jesus. Be aware if you don't run to the direction of Jesus. You will start running towards something else. And especially when you have a load on your shoulders, it's easy to be distracted. Now, young people, okay, raise your hand if you're young. Okay, that should be everybody. I'm still young. So young people, so you listen to the music, right? So my kids listen to the music, my students, they listen to the music and the class, and I say, hey, can I listen to that music? He's like, no. So here's the first clue. If the teacher or your mom or dad, they cannot listen to your music, that means it's not a good music, right? So if we listen to the music, we participate in the millions of sport, we watch movies, we watch shows, we do all of the things in the world. And that goes for adults. I know some of you are gamers there. And typically we ask, when they say it's too much or something like that, we ask, what's wrong with it? It's like, it's not a bad game. It's just a game. It's nothing. So, but my encouragement is this. Don't ask if it's bad. Don't ask if it's a sin. Don't ask what is wrong with it. But ask instead, is it preventing me, this thing that I do, I play or watch, is it preventing me from seeing Jesus? Is it preventing me from experiencing God? Is it stopping me from doing this? So, and here's the side note, just some of you, I just felt like I have to address that too. A lot of teenagers and young adults and old adults and very old adults, when you play a game and or you watch R-rated movies, you don't realize, you think that you're watching something, you enjoy something. 6th graders in my class there, it's like, oh yeah, I watched this movie. I'm like, this is an R-rated movie. What are you talking about? You're only 10 or 11. So don't get deceived, because whatever you put in your eyes, it goes into your brain. So when you watch movies or you play those gory games, what is your brain doing? Your brain is taking pictures. And you're just like, no, this is not real. Tell to your brain that it's not real. The brain is taking the pictures. Overnight while you're sleeping, going from short-term memory into long-term memory. So all these images you're going to store for the rest of your life. You're not going to delete. There's no delete button. You're like, where is the delete button? There's no delete button. So ask yourself, is it beneficial? Is it good for me? And it's not that it's not. Is it sin? Well, most likely it's not. But is it good? Is it helping you to see Christ? Is it assisting you to do it? So the author of Hebrews says, next, let us keep looking to Jesus. Let us keep looking to Jesus. Now, remember the author said run, right? So I was wondering, why run? Why not walk? We're talking about, it's like, hey, slow down. Your life, take off everything. But the author says run. Now, I was thinking, was listening, was reading to some other guys, and they said, well, when you are running, you tend to focus more, okay? But when you're walking or strolling, you start doing something else. A couple years ago, I was driving home on the Manning Avenue. We're heading west, and there's a St. LaSalle school, and there's a crosswalk. And I see the car. This was like sunset. So the car in front of me, jammed on the brakes, and then all of a sudden I see the body, like, and the guy just like flying and just rolling and just stopped. I jammed on the brakes. My kids are in the back. He's like, what happened? Like, so I think somebody got hit. So I'm like first out of the car, run to the dude, right? So the dude, he's like this, on the ground. I ran to him and he's like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? He's like, where's my phone? And I lay down. He's like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? So now apparently what happened, oh man, should exercise probably a little bit more. So what happened, so he was walking in the right area, the crosswalk, but he did not even look where the cars are coming. What he was just doing is just looking at his phone and just doing this. And he was hit. So the strolling or walking in this case is not helping because we're getting easily distracted. Now, for this young man, and I immediately go to the mode of praying and holding him down on asphalt, just shouting to people, call the ambulance and everything, because the other driver is in shock. He just saw the body, and I think I was in shock. But thankfully, he got some bruised or some ribs that were, fractured. And I was like, thank God, And hopefully, he learned a valuable lesson, I mean, if he ran, he would have been better off, probably. So, focus, our focus on Jesus determines our direction and quality of our lives. Okay, let me repeat that again. So our focus on Jesus determines our quality and direction of our lives, and the focus. Now, some of you, I know that you never experienced that in your life, but there's a couple things that young people, they're really good at. Teachers, they typically say, they cannot focus, they this and that. I mean, young people, parents, ask young people to define the focus. I mean, they're the most focused people ever. Okay, so you walk in the room, they're like this. It's like, dinner is ready. Yeah. It's like, the house is on fire. Yeah. Your father and I were getting divorced. Yeah. And they're just like so zoomed in that everything else is just fades away. They're not able to do anything. So they are the experts. So if you want to learn about focus, you talk to them. They're going to give you some life lessons on this. So, and I know it doesn't happen to you, but so it just happened yesterday, and a couple of weeks ago, it happened to me again. So there's NBA Finals, right? So Blanca and I, my wife, so we're sitting and we're talking at the after we finish dinner, and we're just talking, and the Phoenix Suns, they're playing Milwaukee Bucks, and there's about like 2 minutes left. So I'm like, she's telling me something. I'm like, yes, I'm engaged, and these guys are behind. Phoenix Suns is behind, so I'm rooting for Phoenix Suns. They're closer to us. They're hot, we're hot. All that stuff. So we're talking, and as the clock winds down, I find myself looking on the screen and just nodding, not even nodding anymore, just looking on the screen, and there's like a 40 whatever time left, and I'm like, oh, man, I'm hyperventilating, and so, and my wife is like, oh yeah, you're sleeping on the couch tonight, and I'm like, yes, so you're just nodding your head, and the thing is that, don't worry, I slept in my bed, okay. But the idea is this, that we tend to focus on something that is insignificant. And it's in the second plan. There's always something in the second plan roaming around, just waiting to steal your attention. You know what that is. If I would ask you what it is, you will tell me what that is, what is right behind the most important thing in your life. And that when that thing and from the second plan becomes your first priority, this is where we have big issues. And we don't know that until it's like everything starts falling apart. So, and now the question is this, is that game bad? And the answer is not bad. But is it preventing me from focusing on what is important, the most important thing? So anyway, let's move on to the next. I'm halfway through. Okay, so a little bit more halfway. Okay, so he is the one Hebrews 12, verses 2, he says, he is the one who started this journey of faith, and he is the one who completes this journey. Okay, so he says, keep your eyes on Jesus, because he is the one that needs. So the writer of Hebrews states that Jesus is the one that started this journey of faith. So let me just explain to you and to myself that he is the one that develops your faith. He is the one that is the leader. He is the pioneer. He is the one that started. He is the Alpha and Omega. He was there before the world was created. He was hanging out with God. He was already there working on your plan. This is not something that you and I do. This is not something that we develop a faith. We're going like, I feel the faith right now. No, it's not. It's because of Jesus. And when the author says, focus on Jesus only, focus on Jesus only, that means we have to focus on him only. Don't start adding something. Don't start adding some kind of traditions piling up on it. No, it's a raw faith. It's a raw relationship with Jesus. The next verse, it says this. He says, he paid no attention to the shame of the cross. He suffered there because of the joy he was looking forward to it. Then he sat down on the right hand of the throne of God. He basically, the author says, why we should focus. Why should we listen to him? And the answer is very simple, because remember, he's the developer of my faith. And he just says, okay, this is how it's going to go down. He says, I'm going to teach you how to live your life. I am going to instruct you. I'm going to give you the lessons. And he teaches those things, and he has those meanings that are hidden. Sometimes people work hard to figure it out. But he is the one that does it for us. He is the one that says, hey, you're sinning. You're doing something wrong. Let's change that. Let me tell you a better way. So he says, this is how it's going to go down. Then he says, then I'm going to die. And the people says, no, you're not. He says, I'm going to be dying. I'm going to die on the cross. And he died. The cross was the most shameful death of that time. If you were on the cross, everybody would go around and they would spit and they would be just like cursing at you and using all these, exclamation, hashtag words at you, because that was very shameful death. And he says, Jesus, and I'm going to do that. And that's what he did. And then he took his body and they put him in the grave. And the 3 days later, he rises. Now, 3 days in that time, in that climate, your body will be decaying and have maggots, swarming and starting eating and feasting on your body. But he defies that and he raises up. And now this is a very important piece. We believe not because Bible says so, but we believe in the first place because Jesus was raised from the dead. This is the staple. This is what first believers, those Hebrews believers that were listening, he says, he was raised from the dead, therefore we believe. Everything makes sense. Because when we read in the Bible, it points everything to Jesus. It says, this is why we believe. And he was tortured, and he experienced all these things. So when we shift focus from Jesus, okay, let me repeat that again. When we shift focus from Jesus, we shift focus to something else. There's no such a thing. It's like, well, you know what? I'm going to give Jesus a break. No, it doesn't work like this. When we shift focus, we shift to something else. Because we're human beings. This is what we do. Okay? All right. So, and there's a couple other lessons. Is we lose faith because we lose focus on the builder of our faith. We start to abandoning. So, and now he's going for a landing. Verse 3, he says, let me give you some encouragement. He says, Jesus walked through that. He went through this. He made it through. Okay, say it with me. He made it through. One more time. He made it through. And there's a hope for you and I. He made it through these attacks by sinners, by all the people that surrounds it, all the problems that surrounds us. So think about him, then you won't get tired. Then you won't lose hope. Now, as I mentioned before, Jesus went through all these hardships. He experienced this all. He was attacked, insulted, rejected, left alone. He did it all. So now the question is this: why should we listen to him? Why should we listen to him? Did you hear that word? He has experience. he already experienced, he was already there. So we should listen to Jesus because he has experience. Now, as a teacher, the first day when I teach, I ask the students, it says, why should you listen to me? And then we'll have some brave souls that they would answer to me. He says, you're the teacher. I said, good, point taken. You are working here. We should listen to you. And then somebody says, you're old. I said, granted, yes. All of these are good reasons why you should listen to me. But I said, but the most important reason why you should listen to me because I have more experience than you. I have more experience than you. And I said, can you argue with that? And every single student says no. Now, parents, here's a freebie for you. When your children ask you, why we should do this? Tell them, it's because of my experience. It's good for you. I know what I'm doing. It's because of my experience. You should listen to me. And kids, no, it's because of their experience you should listen because they have gone before. They were a kid before. They were first grade before. They were in the 8th grade before. They did that too. They did stomp and tried to bake a concrete in their house. They did that too. They argued with you. I mean, they did that. So when they tell you to do it, you just do it because it's a good thing to do. When they teach you life, when they teach you about Jesus, it's because they have experienced that. Now, they're not perfect. They're going to mess it up. I mess it up. My kids, they point it out, when I mess it up. So that's how it goes. So you should listen to him. Okay. So we should listen to Jesus because he has. Okay, one more time. We should listen to Jesus because he has. Okay, that's much better. Much better. So he has experience. He experienced it. So last, we're going to go back to the first verse. Okay, you're going to help me out on this one. So we're going to read the first verse. It's going to be on the screen in a moment. So I'm going to read it, and we're going to read it again. So the text says, or the author says, let us throw off everything that stands in our way. Let us throw off any sin that holds us so tightly. And let us keep on running the race marked out for us. I should get better glasses. So I'm going to read. You're going to respond with us. Okay, ready? So let throw off everything that stands in way. Let throw off anything that holds us onto so tightly. And let keep on running the race marked out for. I mean, this guy was us happy. No, the reason being is this: he wants to drive a point. When we run the race, when we bump into each other, when we bump into the people, when we bump into the problems, when we begin, Jesus begins to fade in our view. When we lose the point of reference of our faith. He says, let us. So that means you cannot do this by yourself. Reading by yourself and doing by yourself is not enough. Why we stress so much to gather together? Why we stress so much to do in the groups? You know, I'm gathering, I have a group with college-age students. So we've been doing this for about 2 years. And sometimes say, well, give them a break, or do this. It doesn't work like this because when you start giving the break, everything starts to fade away. So you have to still gather together and we start working together. And they tell me, says, I don't feel like being here today. I said, thanks for being honest. I don't have to take it personal. But it's so important to gather. So important to be planted, rooted in Jesus. So important to run. So important to focus. But we have to do this what? Together. You cannot do this by yourself. Because if it was that easy, everybody would be doing this. Everybody would be doing this if it was that easy. But the fact of the matter is that it's not that easy to do that. So let us, it says, we have to do it. So let me ask you a question. Because remember, we hear certain words, certain messages, but unless we apply it, we just like, we listened into one ear and it came out from the other. So let us. So my encouragement is surround yourself with people who will level you up. Level you up. Who is in your circle? Are they pulling you up or are they pulling you down? Are they there to point you towards Jesus or away from him? Okay? When we're out in the world, and this is how it happens, are they encourage you to run the race? Are they pushing you up to cut things out of your life that you would be able to focus on Christ, the developer of your and my faith? So, and before I dismiss you, I'm just going to leave you with several questions that are posted there on the screen. So let me read it for you, and you can take a picture and ask yourself throughout the week, as you go throughout the week, where are you at in your journey? Where are you at? Are you looking just good, or there's something else going on below the surface that nobody can see, clearly? So who is surrounding you? Are they pushing you up or down in your walk of life? What good things that drag you down and need to be removed from your life in order to see Jesus clearly, in order to see the priorities, in order to see what you need to do? What sins drag you down? Something that you're doing that you're missing God's target. What sins are dragging you down and need to be come clean before God, confess to one another, hold each other accountable? Are you running or strolling in life? Who or what is the focus of your life? Let's pray. Thank you, Jesus, for this morning. Thank you that you have left us some advice in the book of Hebrews of how we should focus on you, how we should run the race of life, how we should strip down and what is good and the sin. So thank you for the words of wisdom. And I pray for every one of us as we go into the week that those words would sink into our hearts, that it would sink in our brains and continuously be on our tongue, sharing with people around us and just meditating and making sure that we're staying on track so that this race of life, the things that we bump into would not be an obstacle in seeing you, Lord God, your face and you. I pray that you would give strength to each one of us to do that. I pray in your most powerful and mighty name, Jesus. Amen.